Good evening. Today is Tuesday, June 22nd. We are at a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of Harlandale ISD. My name is Norma Cavazos, and I am the board president. Welcome, everybody. It is 6:15 in the evening. I'm going to do roll call and see which of my colleagues is here this evening. Ms. Carrillo? Present. Hi, Ms. Carrillo.
Hi.
Hi, Ms. Limon.
Here.
Hello, Ms. Limon. Mr. Luna?
Present.
Thank you, Mr. Luna. Mr. Mancha?
Present.
Hi, Mr. Mancha. Glad to have you back, Mr. Mancha. Mr. Moreno?
Present, ma'am.
Hi, sir. Ms. Ortiz?
Here.
Hello, Ms. Ortiz. And we do have a quorum. Mr. Soto?
Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, tonight we have our Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance, Mr. Richard Hernandez. We have our Executive Director of Human Resources, Dr. Salinas.
Here.
Our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Melissa Casey.
Here.
Our Executive Director of Operations, Mr. Kyle Blakeney.
Here.
Our Public Information Officer, Mariana Veraza.
Here. Thank you, Mr. Soto. We also have Dr. Judy Castleberry. Hi, Dr. Castleberry.
Hello, thank you.
Before we go to the next agenda item, I want to thank my colleagues for participating and attending our Lone Star Governance training. I know there were 2 full days of intense learning, intense refresher course. I believe it was very successful. We took a lot from that, and I cannot wait for all of us to put what we learned into practice and set in place for tonight's meeting and future ones. So thank you so much for wanting to learn more so that we can be more for our community. Thank you so much. Agenda item number 2. Unopposed candidate for single member District 1 will be giving the oath of office after all required procedures have been followed and will assume the position on the Board of Trustees. Mr. Hernandez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this evening, if we'll have Mr. Mancha step up and his guests so they can administer the oath to him. Right here.
Repeat after me. In the name of the authority of the state of Texas,
In the name, the authority of the state of Texas,
I, Juan Mancha,
I, Juan Mancha,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office,
I will successfully
execute
execute
the duties
the duties of this office
of the Harlandale Independent School District,
of the Harlandale Independent School District,
single member District 1
single member District 1
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and to the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the
the
Constitution
Constitution of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Oh,
you for everything.
Congratulations, Mr. Mancha. Well deserved, well deserved. Moving on to agenda item 3, the board will conduct a public hearing regarding the proposed budget for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. Mr. Hernandez?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. This evening, we will be conducting our budget hearing for the 21-22 fiscal school year coming up. This has been a culmination of budget work sessions that we've had over the last several weeks. Tonight's hearing will cover, as we did at the beginning of the work sessions, our fund balance, our student trends, the resources that are available to the district, the specific budget items that are related for the 21-22 year, and a budget summary on how that affects not only our overall revenues but our expenses as well, and the effects of our savings and our fund balance. And then finally, relating to our tax rate. So as we covered at the beginning of the first work session, we looked at the trend of where we were at. We actually peaked in fund balance and in ADA, which is average daily attendance, back in 2013, 2014. So in that time, we had a $65 million fund balance, and our ADA was at 921. But as we progressed over to, and we pick up in 17, 18, basically our last 4 years, our fund balance then at 17, 18 was at 56 million, and our ADA was at 12,884. So as you can see from this chart, the trend of the ADA continues to decline, and many school districts are also facing that as well. But luckily, for various reasons, our fund balance has remained somewhat steady. So, but at the end of 2021, we are projecting it to decrease down to 48.7. Now, what's special about this last year, not only dealing with the COVID and the efforts to have students attend and teach remote and also in face-to-face, when we look at the actual ADA for the school district, it was at 10,750. But as we know, TEAs make the efforts to fund school districts, and what they implemented for 2021 was what they called hold harmless. And basically that looked back at 2 or 3 years of ADA, and again, average daily attendance of not only your special programs, but your regular attendance of your regular students. And so based on that, then that's what our funding was, instead of at the low amount of 10,750 students. Now, one of the things that we look at, and it's important as we develop our budget, is the fund balance. And what this pie chart shows you is the items in blue. So in the item in blue, that basically reflects our fund balance. It's unreserved, unrestricted, and can be used for any purpose. Now, within that, if we look at 2017, within that 48 million, 25 million has always been set aside by the board for 2.5 months of operation. That's something that CEA recommends, and it's just good financial management. It's looked on by the rating agencies as well. And so it's a very positive aspect when we do present to the rating agencies. But as you can see from 2017, each year it has declined to where it's at now at 42.2 million at the end of 2021. Now, one of the items that you can see is that's kind of affected the fund balance and remaining as steady as it has. If you look at 2018 and 19, that's where we've had a strong child nutrition program. All our students eat free. That helps in our meal claims, that helps support the program to the point where we actually were getting to a limit to where we needed to buy more equipment, and TEA and TDA actually guided us through that. But as we entered the 1920 year, that fund balance for the child nutrition actually helped us offset the lack of meal claims, because when COVID hit in March of 2020, then of course students were attending, and that's how we earned the revenues to support that program. So the same thing happened in 2021, and again, the fund balance from the child nutrition provided the offset of the loss of meal claims there, but to the point though where now at the end of 2021 we're looking at a fund balance of about 24,000. So again, it's a great program. We look forward to 21-22 when we have students back, and again, we're serving meals in the classroom. We're getting a good participation in our meal claims, and so we hope that that's going to continue funding that program. The next slide is basically showing the effects of, and the benefit of what the state has done for the school districts. So when you look at 2021, as I mentioned, the state implemented a hold harmless formula in order to compensate school districts for their loss in ADA. So again, here it shows our ADA for the 2021 year at 10,750. But again, they based it on 11,733. If they had not done that, then we would have been looking at a loss of state revenues of about 14 million. What we're building our budget, again, knowing that we're coming back face to face for instruction for 21-22, we're looking at building our budget at 11,733. And so many efforts are going to be made to bring back the student attendance into the district. So along with looking at our fund balance trend, then we look at the other resources that are available to us. And many of us have heard of the federal stimulus and also how it's coming into the local education agencies. So when we first spoke about this, and it's constantly changing, at that time, we only looked at ESSER 3 money. And ESSER is basically the funding that the state provides in order for school districts to address the effects of COVID-19. And they're very broad on that. So whatever efforts school districts are making, whether it's retention or more student support, more teacher support, then those are qualifying expenses. So the most recent news that we've received is now they've provided ESSER 2, which sounds a little bit backwards, but it's not. That's additional funding of 17 million. And that's basically going to help us continue funding the support that we received funding for this year under ESSER 1. So again, those are positions that we can continue funding and otherwise would need to come back into the general fund. These monies are going to be available to us. Basically, they let you go back to March of 2020, but what we are looking at using these funds for going forward, and we have until September of 2024. So basically 3 years to utilize these funds. Now, one of the key aspects of these federal funds is that they're allowing school districts to look at what expenditures they have or what programs, what supplies, materials, teachers, wages, very many things that are currently funded in your local fund that can be what they call supplanted. Basically, you move those expenses over to the ESSER fund. And so that allows you to save some of the local funds that you're having, because one of the things that the state asks to school districts to do or to keep in mind is that after the program's over in 2024, what are you going to want to sustain? So by moving some of those costs over to these federal programs, you manage those funds and you look at them as to what type of programs you want to continue using into the past the 2024 year. Now, again, there's no restrictions once those funds are saved and put in the general fund. Other uses can be used for retention stipends that are related to the grant. So mainly those are in the instructional area. There's been stakeholder participation, feedback, and the application is due to the state in July 27, 2021.
Madam
No.
President, I'd like to ask a question,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes,
So I
Ms.
see
Ortiz.
that the grant period dates back to March 1st, 2020. Have we used any of this fund?
No, ma'am.
ESER 2, ESER 3, anything? Have we used anything yet?
No, ma'am. Not,
And
not
so,
to go
but we're
back for
going to go
expenses.
back
Now,
and try and get
yes,
supplant it.
yes, ma'am. And that's a good question because there was actually some funding that we got, and I don't know if y'all would remember, but when there was a big push from the state to try to get technology, get students to have their own devices, have teachers have their own devices. They had again, another stimulus package that allowed districts to reimburse themselves for the technology that they were buying, but it was capped at 84%. So actually with this ESER 2 or ESER 3 monies, that remaining 16% that wasn't reimbursed to school districts, you can actually fund it with this. So that's where it goes back to what you're saying, are we looking at expenses going back to March of 2020? Probably not that far back, but trying to stay within our budget year that we're in right now. So maybe up through July, because these devices were bought after the July of 2020. So again, whatever we can find that would qualify under the program, we will look at to see if we can get reimbursed, because whatever we are able to transfer over from the local side to these federals, then that money is just basically a savings for the district and can go into the general fund. Yes. The next item is basically covering the budget items that we've been discussing through our budget work sessions. And what I've done and we've been working on these changes basically up to the last minute. So what I've done is in your board book, I've color coded the slides that have the changes from the past budget work sessions that we've had. And so with that, not only is it color coded on your PowerPoint, but it also is color coded on the actual budget booklet that you'll be voting on later on as its own separate agenda item when you adopt the budget. So let me proceed on to the first item that had changes. And again, as I said, this is a culmination of budget work sessions that we've had. We've also utilized the TASB pay maintenance study that we've used for the past several years. We've also received feedback from the board, from other school districts, from other sources that have been in contact with our superintendent. And then we also looking at surrounding districts, and we know what's, we're competing against them. So we need to make sure that we can have a salary and wage that will attract staff and retain staff as well. And then finally, we are weighing the cost of these as they may be affected by possibly federal funds, and even the recent, and I believe we sent it in HA's recent reimbursement that we got from when we bought buses back in 1920. We finally received the grant funds that they had indicated school district could receive once they make those purchases, and that was about 1.2 million. So based on that, then the following are the recommendation and the changes that are being proposed from the original budget work session that we had back on May 27th. So as we look at the teacher salary and stipend increases, the salary percentage will increase based on the current salary. The salary percentage increase will be based on the teacher's actual salary and in their years of service. So as it's broken down here, for those that are 1 to 10 years, we're looking at a 3% increase. And for those with 11 to 20 years, a 3.5% increase. And then for those with 21 and above, at a 4% increase. And so when we look at these type of increases, we also have to look at our hiring schedule, which is basically the schedule that we look, interested candidates look at in order to determine whether the salary is what they're looking for. So when you look at the starting salary, then our starting salary on our hiring schedule goes up to $55,500. So for 2021, the starting salaries amount was 54,150. So there's a significant bump there, and we hope that that's going to be competitive as we see what develops with other school districts when they go into their 21-22 year. As we spoke on one of our work sessions, what we're also looking at is increasing the librarian stipend from 1,000 to 3,000. So again, the increases here are based on the actual salary of the individual and their years of service. The next area that we looked at, and again, as I said, with all the information that was available to us, we made modifications to the original recommendation. And so when we looked at, what could be proposed this evening, we're looking at increasing the minimum hourly rate for paraprofessionals and classified to $13 per hour. So what this means is meaning that no hourly permanent employee will be earning less than $13 an hour. And so what that does is when you look at the different pay ranges for the different pay grades that the district has, 1 through 8 for both paras and classified, then that gets adjusted as well. So when we compute the 3% increase on the paras and on the classified, the 3% increase will be based on the new pay ranges for the 21-22 pay scale. So when we work with TASB on the numbers on this, they were projecting an average increase for individuals ranging from 3.35% to 3.5%. So that's one change that we've made, increasing the minimum hourly rate to $13 and having a 3% increase on the midpoint. So consistent with what we proposed for the teachers' pay scale, for the paras and the classified, the other change that's being recommended this evening is changing the pay increase for the administrative and professional personnel from 2% to 3%. And again, that is based on the midpoint of their pay grade. And plus any adjustments for equity. So when we talk about equity, those are basically your VPs as where they're earning and as compared to the teachers with the many years. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Carrillo, just because we were having issues past meetings, if you can turn on your microphone, that way we can hear. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, I apologize. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a question
Yes,
on
ma'am.
these, the pay increase, that is for hourly versus salary, correct?
I'm sorry, repeat. that?
On the general pay increase, 3% is a percent, that is for hourly, not salary?
Yes, ma'am. So if we're looking at the paras and paraprofessionals and the classified, so when you're looking at the second bullet, a general pay increase of 3%
Mhm.
of their pay grade is based on their midpoint. So that's based on what the midpoint hourly rate is for their pay grade, it'll be 3% of that. And so that is what the increase will be on their, that's what their new hourly rate will be. So when you look at and then if you look at the next group, the administrative professionals, so those are salaried individuals. So those individuals, based on what what we call our daily rate. When you look at the daily rate for that particular pay grade, then that midpoint for that pay grade, that's what gets increased by 3%.
But the non-salary employees are still going to be increased at 3.35 to 3.5%, which only gives them what, 33 cents or something like that?
Per hour, yeah. So if their hourly rate is $30, then 3%. And if you look at the midpoint for the hourly individual, if they're on a pay grade and they're currently earning $25 and the midpoint is $24, then the amount that they'll get is 72 cents. So if their hourly rate is $25, they'll have $25.72 per hour. So it's a 3% increase of their midpoint for that pay grade.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
appreciate that.
So when we look at the summary costs for the increases, then your teachers and librarians, the cost is 2,081,000. For the classified, for the clerical and paraprofessionals, it's 468,000. Classified is 644,319. And then administrative professional is 694,192. The total of the increases is 3,889,000. So how that compares to what, when we first presented the budget back in May, the amount that was projected to be for the increase was 2,307,000. So basically, this modification, this change, then adds to what we presented back on May 27th by 1,581,720. And so in slides later on in the presentation, I'll be report or showing the effects on the fund balance for that. What continues to occur is regarding again the ESSER 3 and when we made the presentation back on May of 27th, and we looked at the teachers that can be funded with this and provide that student support that they need. The board was forward-looking to allow our school district to go ahead and advertise for these positions, pending again the approval of the budget this evening. But one of the two areas that we were looking at adding some student support for the math and the reading area was to provide response to intervention teachers. And these would be at the elementary schools, which is about 13 teachers. And so the cost there would be 812,000, and over 2 years, it'll be 2,437,000. Another group of teachers that we feel that would provide the instructional coaching, the professional development, and then maximize the delivery of the instruction is multi-classroom leaders, the MCL teachers. And so again, the number of teachers that would be MCL for that would be placed at the secondary and the elementary as well was 27 teachers for an annual cost of 2.2 million, and over 3 years it'd be 6.7. So again, this is ESSER money, which is not part of the general fund, but it is strong support that's needed in order to get the students back to learning and get them caught up, for the time that they missed during this COVID period, which is what the purpose is for the ESSER 3 monies. So over a projected 3 years, then that would be 9,176,000. Another area that we looked at in utilizing a combination of both ESSER 3 monies and general fund monies is providing a retention stipend. So that's important when you do when you invest in the staff and the time and their institutional knowledge of the district. That helps us, the school district, be successful, is that we're looking at a recommended retention stipend of $600. So again, that's going to be reevaluated as we discussed at our last budget work session. When we look at, actually what does our PEIMS look like in October, and what are going to be our final financial results for 2021. So again, we'll revisit that. But what we can do is plan for the $600. So of the $600, that retention stipend related to instruction, which are mainly your campus teachers, the instructional aides, the social workers, nurses, CNI staff that have particular direct impact on instruction. The number of staff there is 1,545. That would be coming out of the ESSER monies. And then the remaining what we would say ESSER eligible staff, such as your administrative, child nutrition, that would be out of the general fund. So that would be a cost to the general fund of $467,000.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. Wasn't our retention stipend given last year at Christmas, and wasn't it $1,000?
Yes.
So are we going to do 300 and 300, or are we talking about 600 in December? What are we talking over the budget year? Are we talking that would be the total amount?
So in tonight's proposal, it's the $600. It would be the 300 in December and 300 in May. But as we did last year, when we reevaluated, we saw where we were as far as our fund balance, how we ended the 1920 financial results. That gave us an idea, okay, we have the funds available. And then with the other things that were occurring in the district, and through the superintendent's recommendation and the board's approval, we moved that up because we saw other school districts as well. And for us, just to be competitive, we made that change because we had that resource available, knowing the results of the 1920 year that could support moving up the stipend, paying it $1,000 in December, and not having to have them wait till the end of May to pay the other half. So the same approach is being proposed this evening, is that, again, we start off with a $600 stipend, we evaluate it, and it can be increased or maybe not because our financial results aren't as we thought they would be. But again, just as we did this last year, it was amended and changed as you just said.
But these are coming out of ESSER 3 funds, right? That are going to
The-
go,
Yes,
And-
ma'am. The
and
ones
the
for the
stip-
teachers? Yes, ma'am.
okay. And the stipends are not an expected. It's sort of like, it's a privilege and not a right kind of money.
Right. And-
Is that what we're talking about?
And that's one of the benefits of doing the retention stipend, because it's not like a salary, which a recurring cost. It's, as you said, it's a one-time benefit that the district could afford and will provide for its staff.
Thank you.
Mr. Hernandez, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, there are some school districts that are not going to give raises and they're just going to give a retention stipend.
Yes, sir.
What is the drawbacks or what is a positive of how we're doing it with giving the teachers a raise and not just putting it all in a stipend?
See, and when if you don't put it in the in the salaries, then as I said, it's not a recurring cost. But again, what this does is, along with the percentage increases that we looked at, if you're giving $600 to, or you're providing the $600 stipend to staff, it depends what they're earning, and that means that much of an effect on the actual percentage increase that they get. So naturally, the lower amount that they're earning, it's a higher percentage. The higher amount that they're earning, it's not as high, but it's still a benefit to them. That will certainly help them not only in what they need to purchase throughout the year, but also in any expenses like health insurance or anything like that.
Thanks.
Yes, sir. The second initiative that we have, or the next initiative that we have, is what we call the teacher attendance incentive. And so as it shows here, as we discussed in the main meeting, the attendance, the teacher attendance directly affects the student outcomes. And what's provided here is our progress on student achievement in math and student achievement in reading. The bullets also provide the absences that we've recorded for the last 4 years. And so again, it's important that we have teachers in the classroom. So one way that we're looking at to make that possible is, again, this attendance incentive is for classroom teachers of record, which means those teachers that are in the classroom that are responsible for their students, or those students that are tied to them, and actually their results reflect on their performance as a teacher. So it would be only those classroom teachers of record. The maximum award would be $1,000. It would start the first day of instruction, which for 21-22 is August 16th, and it ends on June 15, 2022. Now, the way it's looked at is that each day that a teacher would be absent, there would be basically $100 deduction from that maximum award that will be paid later on in the year. So for example, if an individual is out 3.5 days, well, it's rounded up to 4 days, so it would be $400 deducted from that $1,000. So $600 would be paid at the end of the year. And this would be paid to the teachers in July of 2022, after we've made the accounting for everything. So we estimate this cost to be $120,000 because, again, remember, when a teacher is out, we have to call in a substitute. And so we won't have that cost. And so that's an offset to what this incentive would provide. And again, the more important thing is that it provides the teacher to be in the classroom for the student.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
And this is a recurring cost, or this is out of ESSER funds?
No, and in fact, this is right now budgeted out of the general fund. And again, it's not a recurring cost because what will happen is when we do the 22-23 budget, we'll evaluate to see how this works. And did it produce the results that we expected it to produce? And if it does, then we budget for it again. But if it doesn't, then it's not going to be recurrent cost. You don't do it. But it may be something that we look at possibly something that can be done through ESSER funds. And again, depending on all the other programs that we want to put through the ESSER, such as what I mentioned earlier, getting reimbursed for the technology devices. And there's other things that can be qualified under the ESSER program as well.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. The next area of an initiative in one area that for the hard to fill positions in the district, and not only to be competitive and also to retain staff, is the CT Career and Technology Education Stipend increase. And so these individuals would be required to be state certified, required license in their industry. And currently the stipend that we pay for CTE individuals is $1,500. So the recommendation here is to increase this to $7,000. So again, with the intent and as we've experienced, the hard to fill areas. So we're hoping this will be successful in accomplishing that. So the added cost for that is $115,500. The next initiative that is being proposed and mainly for the equipment to implement this program is middle school softball and baseball. And again, as we found out, not many districts, and we're not sure we know of any, that actually have a baseball and softball program in the middle school. The program will be taught, their skill sets will be taught during athletic period. Grade checks will be monitored. It will be available to 7th and 8th graders. And again, the equipment to start up this program is $48,000. The last initiative that we have is regarding a public relations facilitator. As we've seen this past year, we've had many events that has gotten the name of the district out there. We're looking at, and they require a lot of planning on a monthly basis. But this individual will also facilitate our government affairs, our liaison with our cities, partnership with other nonprofit entities, and just coordinate district-wide events and ceremonies. And again, when you do that, the hope is then it further promotes the district's name and makes it attractive for other families and students to recognize the school district and attend our district as well. So when we look at the summary of the cost to the school district, as we looked at for 21-22 and projected what our revenues were going to be at, it's at $135,182,000. And what we seen as our cost for this last year and carrying forward and projecting for this year is payroll costs, again, are 84%, which a total of appropriations as they are before these budget initiatives is 139 million. So we start the budget process with a deficit of 3.9 million. And as so based on the changes that we talked on the salaries and wages, that's the change for this slide. So the budget recommendation for the salaries and wages, as I said earlier, was $3,889,000. The retention stipend, the portion that's charged to the general fund is $467,400. The teacher incentive is $120,000. The CTE stipend is $115,000. Middle school softball program, $48,000, and public relations facilitator, $60,000. So a total deficit of $4,700,216. When we first presented the deficit, it was at $1,581,316. So again, we're looking at our deficit increasing to 8.6 because we're increasing it by 1,581,000. So when you look at that, and as I mentioned earlier, the benefit for the school district and the way it manages its fund balance is that basically we not only have the 25 million that we always set aside for 2.5 months of operation, But after you've taken that out of what we have in the general fund, in the fund balance, there remains 17 million that's basically unrestricted and not having to touch the 25 million. So if we look at a budget deficit of 8.6 and we look at the unrestricted of 17.2 million, then we're looking at the ending the year in June of 2022 at 8.5 million, 8,557,000. So it's still positive, but it supports the kind of programs that we want to implement and the salaries and wages that we want to propose in order to remain competitive and retain our staff. But along with that fund balance, we continue to set aside the 3.2 million that we've discussed in previous board meetings that will help us address our facility needs. And as I mentioned earlier, child nutrition fund balance is 24,000. But again, with the efforts and hopefully the students returning back to school, will improve on that. And then we always have these purchase orders that items that we order haven't come in, but we want to make sure that there continue to money set aside to meet those obligations that are carried over from the 2021 year. So the total of these other fund balances is 31. So when you look at the total at the end of the year, a total fund balance of 40 million. Now, when we look at our tax rate, right now, the proposed tax rate and the approved tax rate from our June meeting is to maintain the rate at 0.9976 and our interest and sinking rate at 0.4306. And as the board, forward-looking looked at on the interest and sinking was any excess revenues collected there, we could do an early payment on some bonds, which would save us on interest costs. The M&O, the maintenance and operations, we're maxing that at the maximum rate in order to maximize state funding. Now, that rate could change once July comes around and we get our certified values. If our certified values are over 2.5, then as it says down there, TEA does a calculation, and what TEA will then have our school district do if they see that our values have gone up more than 2.5, then they basically recalculate that tax rate, and it would be lower than 0.99. But that is done in July when we get the certified values, and then in August when we make the formal adoption of that tax rate. So right now, this is just an approved rate, but the formal adoption is not till the month of August after we've gotten our certified values. So with that, basically the last side, as I mentioned, is, in July, this is the remaining part of our timeline on the budget, is that we approved we're making the recommendation for the budget to be approved as an agenda item later on in the agenda, and for whatever items that the board approves us for. Then in July, we get our certified rolls. And then at our August 16th, 2021 board meeting is when we actually adopt the tax rate. So Madam Chair, that concludes the budget presentation for this hearing, but I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Any questions or comments for Mr. Hernandez? Yes, Ms. Carrillo. Ms. Carrillo, can you turn on your microphone, please? That way everybody can hear you.
Yes,
please.
I do have a question, sir. Back on June 3rd, when we did the budget workshop, you had a budget impact on on page 9. There was an employee salary increase of $1 to $1.50 hourly increase for staff proposed budget of $609, 120,000. Okay. What changed to where now you switched it over to the percentage?
So when we presented on June 3rd, that 609,000, that was based on our original recommendation of 2% of the midpoint, which was only a 2% increase. So what's changed now is that by making the minimum hourly amount to be $13, that basically adjusted everybody's pay ranges. So that way nobody's getting less than, you're not overlapping, because now you've bumped up from, I think it was at $11.45 and now it's going up to $13. So everybody else, you need to move their pay ranges, and that's basically what this does as well. So now when the employee, as we talked about earlier, when they get their 3% increase, it's going to be based now on a higher midpoint than what it was back when it was at 2%. So, that's the difference.
Thank you very
Yes, ma'am.
much for the clarification.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Hernandez? Okay, thank you, Mr.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hernandez. Agenda item number 4, public comment. We do have some community members that have signed up for public comment. Mr. Roy Bonilla. Mr. Bonilla, are you with us this afternoon or this evening?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Mr. Bonilla. I'm going, before, you have a 3-minute max to
Okay.
speak. But just as a friendly reminder for everybody, the topics addressed shall be limited to those specifically included on the board's agenda and or district related. I will
Okay.
give you a little notice shortly before the 3 minutes are up, but let me get my timer going, Mr. Bonilla. Give me 1 second, please, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bonilla, we're ready, sir.
Okay, so first off, I want to thank the board for allowing me to speak on behalf of middle school softball. So I've been a part of the softball community for the past 16 years. I've coached it. I have my older daughter who lettered all 4 years at Harlandale. I have my young daughter who is now playing club ball, and both girls grew up in the Five Diamond system. The biggest discrepancy I see right now at the high school level is that a lot of the girls aren't really prepared when they get to that high school level. And that is because I feel that that's because that a lot of the girls don't have the same opportunities that say a lot of other girls do it in more higher income communities. The big difference I see is that a lot of the girls in higher income communities are able to play club ball. And this does give them a huge advantage over girls in lower income communities, like the one, like the community we're in here. So you see it year after year. My older daughter, her sophomore year, they went to district after district. These girls didn't do much after that. They got pretty much dismantled at the next level by a better prepared, better coached team. So my whole thing is getting these girls coached and prepared earlier to give them that advantage and to go up to the high school level and stand a chance and and play at a more competitive level. Softball and baseball, as you guys know, are predominantly dominated by Hispanic and Latino players. So getting these girls started younger and getting these girls getting their talents developed at an earlier age not only helps the high school program, but it also gives these girls and young men an opportunity for scholarships. And I think that's the biggest, that's the biggest part of it. If we can get these kids started earlier and, have them be more successful in high school, it does give them a better opportunity to get these scholarships. And, when it comes down to it, I have a daughter, right? My oldest daughter just finished her first year in college. $48,000 is, at the end of her 4 years, $48,000 really isn't that much compared to the benefit of getting these kids that opportunity to go out there and play for these
You have 14
scholarships.
seconds, sir.
Okay. So, that's basically it, the getting them prepared earlier and giving these girls and boys an opportunity to go out there and succeed. Not just on the field, but off the field, educationally wise.
Thank you, Mr. Bonilla. We appreciate you signing up and expressing your thoughts and concerns. Thank you so much. Next community member that we have is Lorraine Garcia. Ms. Garcia?
Hi.
Hi, Ms. Garcia. As a friendly reminder, you have 3 minutes maximum to speak. The topics addressed shall be limited to those specifically included on the board's agenda and or district related, ma'am. Give me 1 second while I set up the 3-minute timer.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Garcia, we're ready for you, ma'am.
Hi, I'm here as well, just as Mr. Bonilla did, to speak in regards to the baseball and softball program being brought into our middle school districts. I am a product of Harlandale District. I am a Gillette, Schultz, Kingsborough, McCollum graduate. Not only myself, my siblings, I have cousins, and now my children. I've gone through all avenues. I have a special needs child who just graduated with Joel Wetzel last year. I had a child who went all the way up into her junior year and left for another, district. And I still have two, one that is in middle school currently and one that's coming up into middle school. She's barely in elementary. I have to echo everything that Mr. Bonilla said. I have seen competitive softball, competitive baseball, where our districts, where my brothers at McCollum went into district play and made the first round and they did well. And the second round came up and they could not compete. And it's not because of, the effort. It has to do with the basics that they weren't retaining at the very beginning. Hands down, Five Diamonds, Pony League, Normal Oil, those leagues themselves are wonderful. They offered great opportunity. Those coaches that are out there are volunteers. They're parents, just like Mr. Bonilla. They're out there after work doing what they can to keep our kids engaged and keep them moving forward in a positive fashion. But if we could actually offer something in school as part of their academic curriculum, not only can we keep them engaged, keep them interested, maybe we can actually keep that momentum going for those individuals who don't want to do volleyball or basketball or football. And not only that, help and keep them excited about learning, because instead of, I know Five Diamonds and all these other leagues, it's no pass, no play, but do coaches really see those report cards? Inside of the education system, inside of Harlandale District, with that no pass, no play rule, it's going to keep those kids incentivized to engage, to try something different, to pass. I can't even tell you the wealth of knowledge that it helped with my children, with my two children, because they're using their math skills, they're using teamwork, they're learning to work better as a community, as a team. They have disruptions with other teammates, and they're able to function better just by obtaining those extra skills. And yes, you get that from football, and yes, you get that from a volleyball. But coming in from someone who's not only that, I've done band, I've done drama, I'm completely on the opposite
You have
end of the
15
spectrum as
seconds,
well.
ma'am.
Bringing this type of an opportunity to a middle school program and starting it here in Harlandale District will give us an edge that other districts don't have. So I really do hope that you guys do take this into consideration and know that you would have a great following and a great amount of support.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Thank you so much. Thank you for signing up and letting us know your thoughts. We appreciate that. Our next community member is Ms. Susie Tejeda. Ms. Tejeda, are you here with us this evening?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Ms. Tejeda. Welcome. As a friendly reminder, you have 3 minutes maximum to speak. The topics addressed shall be limited to those specifically included on the board's agenda and/or district related. Give me 1 second while I set up the 3-minute timer, ma'am. Okay, Ms. Tejeda, we're ready for you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I want to echo, thank you for having me on. And I want to echo to Ms. Garcia and Mr. Bonilla's points were well on point, as mine are. I was a McCollum graduate. I have 2 sons that have graduated from McCollum, college graduates. And I have 2 other boys in the Harlandale District as well that are doing well. And with this added baseball program, would definitely benefit from the program as an added opportunity for my boys. I wanted to make some points, and it would be an opportunity for students to build on their athletic skills and confidence, which again leads to scholarships in the end. And I wanted to also bring to another added benefit would be the health benefits. As you know, the more ability and skills that you bring to students, the better health benefits. It is also a great way to provide an additional incentive to students passing and attending class. And some of the return investments overall would be you would have improved grades, improved attendance, and an increase in scholarships and overall enrollments as well. I've heard from other parents that that they would bring their child back to Harlandale District to play baseball if that program was added to the district. So that would be a very good return investment to increase enrollments as well. So I wanted to thank you for that opportunity to bring those points out to you. But yeah, I can't say enough of the benefits and the return on investments that would be included in your approval.
Thank you, Ms. Tejeda. Thank you so much. I appreciate you signing up for public comment. Next community member we have is Ms. Susan Salinas. Ms. Salinas?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Ms. Salinas, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good.
Just as a friendly reminder, a 3-minute maximum to speak. The topics addressed shall be limited to those specifically included on the board's agenda and/or district related. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Salinas, I'm ready.
Thank you. Good evening, President Cavazos, members of the board, Superintendent Soto, and community. I'm Susan Salinas, TSA staff, speaking tonight regarding the budget. To compete with surrounding Southside school districts, Harlandale has to be competitive with salaries. Last night, the Edgewood School Board passed a 3% pay increase for all employees. Hourly employees are starting at $13 an hour, and the salary for a new teacher is $55,000, which was the same as what Harlandale was proposing. I'm glad that it's suggested now for an increase. Talking with the HR in Southwest, the district is looking at a 3% increase. My colleague who works with Southside indicated the district is looking at a 4 or 5% increase for it. Currently, Southside pays their first-year teachers $56,135, over $2,000 more than Harlandale. With Edgewood, Southwest, and Southside getting similar increases, Harlandale has not moved the needle in much. HEA does appreciate the new district proposal for teachers. The 3%, 3.5%, and 4% based on their years of experience will show experienced teachers that you do value them. This is a good start, but it still will not place the district in a position of being the highest paying district on the South Side. The district needs to look to the future to address this issue in depth so that your hiring schedule will attract the best and the brightest. The proposal of a 3% on the midpoint for classified and paraprofessionals still does not do them justice. A 3% for those on pay grades 1 is about a 41 or 43 cents an hour raise. This is unconscionable. HEA believes the district can do better. $1 or $1.50 raise for everyone will be much appreciated. With the proposed starting rate at $13 an hour and a $1 increase for all would make the district very attractive to potential employees and reward the current employees. Also, there's much to talk about ADA being low for next year. The district was held harmless this year. All districts had a decrease in ADA because of the pandemic. When you have less students, the district will have less employees because they will not hire as many to replace those leaving the district. The question is, what is the district doing this summer to find the 1,183 students missing? Is there a written plan for action? What is the plan if the students do show up? Will the district be ready or be hiring teachers at the last minute? We hope that larger class sizes is not the answer, instead of having sufficient staff at every campus. We encourage the district to look at compensation for next year in comparison with what surrounding districts are doing and not based on the market share that TASB presents every year. Harlandale must be the leader. TSTA is pleased to see the grievance policy, DGBA, being modified to align with most school district steps. The elimination of level 2 with the committee
You have
will allow
15 seconds, ma'am.
to be more efficient. Employees will be able to have an answer in a shorter time frame from the decision makers. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Salinas. Thank you for your thoughts and your comments. We appreciate you signing up for public comment. Next community member is Daniel Barrett. Mr. Barrett, are you with us this evening?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
It's a
thank
little
you.
muffled.
Okay, let me.
You want to try saying something else, Mr. Barrett? You're still with us, Mr. Barrett?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes. Give me
Okay, great.
1 second. Just as a friendly reminder, you have 3
Okay.
minutes maximum to speak. The topics addressed shall be limited to those specifically included on the board's agenda and or district related. You have 3 minutes and I'm ready whenever you are, Mr. Barrett.
Okay, thank you very much. And once again, we certainly appreciate the opportunity to address you tonight. And we appreciate your love for the children. I was going to speak. I'm Dan Barrett with Barrett Insurance. I responded to an RFP that is currently on your agenda as 8F. And I was hoping to get some information, or I was hoping that the questions that would be asked by the board was as to the process, what the process was, what role the current consultant / agent of record played, considering they are recommending themselves for the award. If the union was invited to the process, who was on the committee, those kind of questions. We want some clarification as to if there was a best and final, if we weren't invited because we didn't make the cut. We just want to know what the process was and how everybody fared. So I hope these questions will be asked, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett, for signing up, and thank you for letting us know what your concerns and questions are. We appreciate that. Next on the guests that we have from our community is Ms. Julie Gimbel. Ms. Gimbel, are you with us this evening?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Hi, Ms. Gimbel. How are you, ma'am?
Hello, how are you?
Doing well. You have a 3-minute maximum to speak. The topics addressed shall be limited to those specifically included on the board's agenda and or district related. I'm ready whenever you are, Ms.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board members and cabinet. I'm Julie Gimbel, HEA TSTA president. Today, I would like to express to you the concerns and feedback we have received regarding the reading academies here in our district. First, this is an initiative that is coming from the state, HB3. We understand they have no control, that teachers are having to comply with this initiative. But what districts do have control of is how it is implemented. TA has suggested multiple options in fulfilling their task on their website. They post, school systems can integrate reading academies into routine school activities based on local needs, such as online modules, in-person session, and most importantly, to allocate time for teachers to complete modules. The survey that was done shows teachers were given very little time to do this. Most of the time they have spent on completing the reading academies has been done during their own personal time away from their families, time on their weekends, time after everyone is asleep, they're still awake working on this, time during the holidays, time during their summer break. This has been added stress for our teachers during this pandemic year. TA also has a frequently asked question. Is there any compensation for teachers attending reading academies? Their answer was, districts may provide stipends to teachers if they choose. It is if a district offers stipends, those stipends may count as part of the required 30% compensation increase. Folks, it's simple. Teachers were not allocated time in how TEA suggested for it to be done. So we are asking you to please compensate those who have already gone through this academy or will be going through this academy during the summer with a $1,500 stipend. Offer more cohorts during the summer, and lastly, allocate time for them next school year so they're not having to do this during their own family time. Let's not forget our number one resource here during this budget session, and that is your employees. Hope you will hit a home run and pay our employees so they can continue teaching, coaching, feeding, cleaning, building, and keeping our students safe. Lastly, HEA has worked hard in having transparency in the insurance committee and has always had a seat in this committee. I would like to remind you all, this is something our employees pay for. HEA is the largest association here in the district that represents HISD employees. And we
You have 14 seconds, ma'am.
Thank you. And we bring back their concerns and share the information with them. We simply want affordable insurance and ancillary products with great coverage. Please do not bring in people from the past that put the district in an investigation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gimbel. Thank you for signing up and letting us know of your concerns. We appreciate it, ma'am. Next, community member we have is Shayna Robinson. I hope I pronounced the first name correctly. Ms. Robinson, are you with us? Did I pronounce it correctly? Is it Shayna?
Tap here. Yes, ma'am. It's
Okay.
Shauna Robinson.
Good, good.
but-
Welcome. As a friendly reminder, you have a 3-minute maximum to speak. The topics addressed shall be limited to those specifically included on the board's agenda and/or district related. Ms. Robinson, give me 1 second while I get the timer going. Okay, Ms. Robinson, we're ready whenever you are, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Board of Harlandale ISD and Superintendent Soto for letting us speak. We just wanted to reiterate on behalf of Baird Insurance, we were very proud of the proposal that we turned in regards to the RFP that Dan referenced a few minutes ago. We really came after a holistic approach for the employees to drive down the cost of benefits so that they are affordable and can have an open network with a PPO, unlike what they have right now. And our main goal was to continue on to change the trajectory of the spend of the benefits while offering better benefits ultimately for employees and their families. So we do ask that you go ahead and ask those questions that Dan had suggested when the item comes up today, and take the opportunity to maybe table this and look into what some of the other proposals were that were offered. Thank you very much.
Ms. Ortiz? Mhm. Ms. Ortiz, you didn't leave a number when you signed up for public comment, so it's a little difficult for us to see if you're with us tonight. Ms. Stephanie Ibarra Ortiz?
I'm muting the Stephanie iPhone one, but I do not think she's there.
Okay. And she didn't leave a number, correct?
Correct. No number.
Mr. Public, can you send her a message through the chat?
I can't, unfortunately.
Okay, Ms. Stephanie Ibarra Ortiz, going once, going twice.
I can read the email that she sent if that works.
Can we do that, Mr. Resendez?
No, it does not say that.
Okay, okay. That is it for agenda item number 4. Moving along, agenda item number 5, announcements.
Madam Chair, Ms. Mariana Bedossa. I'm sorry, Ms. Mariana. It's Mariana Bravo.
Vieira now.
Miss Mariana just got married. My apologies, Mariana.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
And is it Vieira?
Vieira.
How do you spell it?
Vieyra.
Oh, Villera.
Vieira.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I know it's hard. I'm sorry.
You're testing us. You're testing us.
So I'm gonna go ahead and share the Pledge of Allegiance if we can all rise. Thank you. You may sit down. And I have a couple more announcements to share. So I just wanted to do a quick recap on the scholarship money that our Harlandale ISD graduates earned this year, our 2021 graduates. Total between all 4 high schools, they earned a little over $8 million. So congratulations to them. This was one of the postcards that we sent out last week to the 78210 zip code. And we sent 4,200 of these postcards. On this postcard, as you can see on the screen, we really wanted to feature our STEM early college and the opportunities that our graduates have while studying here at Harlandale ISD. We also showed the Achiever Promise and the Alamo Promise programs, which are 2 programs that help our students get tuition free while they attend college. We also featured our Harlandale ISD digital magazine. It's the first issue that we have. If you see that little QR code on the postcard, if you scan it, you can actually see the magazine. So I'm going to show you that right now. So this is the first edition of our Harlandale ISD digital magazine. And it looks kind of like this. This is our cover. It's loading. It's going pretty fast, but I just wanted you to get an idea of what it looks like. So basically it was a recap of our year and everything we went through. It was a challenging year because of COVID-19. So we wanted to show some of the highlights of the district, and we will be sharing this. We wanted to share with you first this evening, but we will be sharing it to the whole district. And the idea is to have one at every quarter so that we can have an update of the district. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys could see it.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Ask a question.
Yes, of course.
And it's going to be sent to all the students via email
So we're gonna
to
send
their
it.
parents?
Yes, ma'am. We're gonna send it.
Any email that we have for any student in the school district.
Correct. So we will be sending it out through our robocall system, which is where we have all of the contacts for all the parents and students, as well as our staff. And as you saw, we will be sending it out also on those postcards so that people can scan it and they can just automatically read it.
We also, ma'am, looking at some menus around the neighborhood so they can also scan it if the business owners gives us permission.
Correct.
Madam Chair? Yes, sir. Did I understand we're only sending it to the kids that went to school? Or are we sending it to all the community?
We're sending it to all the community.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
sir. Any more questions? Okay, that's it. Thank you.
That was the, oh, okay, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Are we doing any radio ads?
Yes, ma'am. So we have.
Do we have a timeline that we're going to do them? I'm sorry, because I hear them every morning, lunch, and my drive home. And I'm just wondering about.
Yes, so we
us.
have a contract with Cox Radio. They have a few radio stations, country, a rock station, and a few other stations in town. And that one will start in July. We were waiting for a new budget to begin so that we can begin that campaign. And then we have another campaign going on with Univision. So we're going to be advertising with Univision, not only through the radio stations, they also have a few radio stations in both Spanish and English. And we're going to be doing TV commercials with them as well. So both of those start in July.
I have another question.
Sure.
Do we have any posters, anything going out to local businesses that would advertise what we're sending out? So right now, our postcards have only targeted 78210. But because we are doing some innovative things here in the school district, I just don't want to miss the opportunity. Pay attention to our own backyard too. That I just wanted to ask that.
Sure. So the reason why we only send out the first initial 4,200, the way the system works, it only allows us to do 5,000 at a time. And it's based on the routes of the post offices. So we're doing them on a weekly basis. We wanted to test out these first initial ones to see how it would work. I think we had a good turnout. So we're going to begin sending out more on a weekly basis. Those are the postcards. And as far as the posters, we have created flyers that we have been sending out to different businesses. And we are also sharing these flyers at different events. I know we had an event this past weekend called Soulfest. Our flyers were there. So every event, every opportunity that we get, I know we also were at Pica Pica Plaza a few weeks ago giving out these flyers. So we are trying to spread them out as much as we can.
And the other one is the yard signs. We
Correct.
discussed it in cabinet. Yard signs similar to the ones that we had around the district where it had said a Wi-Fi free zone. So those are also.
Yes. Any more questions?
Madam Chair. On information, does on your digital media, does it track how many views it gets?
I believe so. So we're trying to get this program. We are testing this first initial program. And I think it does count how many views it has. I can definitely research that information and get back to you.
Because we get that number also on Facebook, don't we? How many views?
Correct. Yes, sir. We are also trying to do more Facebook ads as well because we know that those work as well.
Yeah, point of information. It did get a pop-up. I did get a Harlem pop-up yesterday. I was Googling something and I said, wow, it came up. So it's out there somewhere.
Good.
It's working.
And that was the other thing that we did for graduation with the San Antonio Express News. We not only had a page for the graduates, but they also allowed us to have digital ads. And so every person that was watching my essay or the Express News, those Harlandale ISD ads came up.
Yeah, I think that's where I was reading the students. Yes, that's where it popped up.
Great.
Express News.
Good. That's
Thank
good to know. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mariana. Agenda item number 6, information and or reports. Mr. Soto? Yes, 6A, I'm sorry, yes. Oh, the board will consider individual members' fidelity to board constraint 1. The board shall not perform or appear to perform either collectively or individually any of the roles or duties of the superintendent.
Yes, Madam Chair, as we know, best practice is to review our LSG constraints. And this is a board constraint. And then the following month, we'll do another board constraint. Up next is item 6B.
Yes, and Mr. Soto, and I just want, I want to piggyback off of what you're doing. This is in part of us, that refresher course, so that we are always in tune with what our role as trustees are and what Mr. Soto's role as a superintendent is. So every board meeting, regular board meeting, we're going to have a constraint on our agenda. 6B, Lone Star Governance Student Outcome Data, GPM 3.1 percentage of pre-K 4 students mastery number recognition will increase from 35% to 42% by 2021.
Yes, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, at this time, we'll have Diane Wagner present.
Good evening. As I get my computer ready, just a moment, please. Thank you for allowing me to present probably one of my favorite topics. I get to talk about pre-K, which we know our youngest students this year probably had the most difficult time adjusting to what happened to them having to be home, never ever being in a school setting. They did their very best. We're very proud of the accomplishments that not only our students, but our teachers as well made this year. And I'm going to share with you the information from, let me see, sorry. I'm in a little trouble with my computer. Give me one moment. Here we go. Okay, hopefully you can see the screen. This is in regards to our math objectives and goals that were set last year for particular objectives. Very quickly, I would like to just recap that our district just finished using the OWL curriculum, which had been in adoption for the past few years. And we now will be using the Frog Street curriculum for both our pre-K 3 and pre-K 4 students. We will continue to use the standards set forth by the Texas Pre-K guidelines. Our assessment tool will continue to use Teaching Strategies Gold. And we will incorporate within our social emotional learning conscious discipline, which is embedded in our Frog Street curriculum. So we're very fortunate. Our teachers all had a year training of conscious discipline, so they're very, very well versed on how to start the school year. Looking at the pre-K math objectives and goals, the percentage of pre-K students mastering number recognition will increase from current 35% to 42% by the completion of the school year 2020-2021. I know that our teachers did a phenomenal job ensuring that our students continued to target and meet and exceed those goals. If we look at objective 20, which comes from the teaching strategies goal, where it is using number concepts and operations, the majority of our pre-K students did meet the goal and in fact exceeded our expectations. We had about 65% of our students who were at the meeting standard for that particular objective within objective 20, which is using number concepts and operations. The percentage of pre-K students mastering number recognition will increase from 35 to 42%. That was our goal, and so we were able to master that goal in that particular area. Looks like we're going to need to increase our goal since we had so many of our students meet that goal this year, and that again, as I mentioned, was just done with a lot of fidelity from our teachers who ensured no matter what the constraints were, they followed those objectives. They continue to use and assess the tools that are provided through Teaching Strategies Gold to ensure that our students were kindergarten ready. Moving forward, our main focus this year was just mainly on refining our infrastructure, along with just creating a mission, vision, and strategic plan for our continuous improvement and towards high quality pre-K program. We spent a lot of time with the help of many individuals throughout our district and our surrounding partners with the Vonset Pre-K for SA. We included our principals, our librarians, teachers, both in pre-K and other grade levels, our special education department. We had a wide variety of individuals who helped us create a mission and a vision that represents pre-K and Harlandale for our community and how we plan on getting our students kindergarten ready. We also just finished our strategic plan, which is specific and targeted for our pre-K 3 and 4 students to ensure that the alignment in areas of early literacy and math are clearly defined and aligned for kindergarten, so that we have more conversation and we have more planned events to ensure that our pre-K and kindergarten teachers communicate and that we're aligned and we're sending them ready. Because as we know, it all starts in pre-K, and by the time they're in kindergarten, there are certain expectations. And so we are working very, very diligently to ensure that our teachers and our students are ready with the help and support of our families and all the areas of the curriculum, including that social emotional, because we know that is the biggest piece, to have them ready to learn when they enter kindergarten. That is all I have on that particular objective. I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any for me.
Any questions or comments from my colleagues?
Madam Chair. Just point of information, Mr. Luna, can you clarify the numbers when you're saying how many they mastered? Is it 0 through 9, 1 through 10, 1 through 20?
On the number concepts and operations, it is 0 through 20, Mr. Luna.
All right, that's from the pre-K guidelines, correct?
That is absolutely correct. Yes, sir.
Thank you. All my pre-K training worked.
You know that, Mr. Luna. You know that better than anybody. Thank you for that question.
I have a question. Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, Ms. Ortiz.
I'd like to find out, do you have the numbers for 1920 versus 2021? I'm assuming the decrease in student enrollment for pre-K 3?
So are you speaking, you're not speaking about this particular objective, are you talking about the enrollment numbers?
Enrollment numbers.
I can certainly, I can research that for you and certainly get that back. I don't have that available in front of me, but I certainly can get those numbers in terms of how our numbers decreased from last year to this year. And overall, we do know that the enrollment did decrease. However, just moving forward again, we have had 13 enrollment events at each individual campus. And an additional one with Avanza right before the school year let out. And we have continued to enroll students, and we're continuing to enroll them over the summer and creating rosters already so that we're ready to go. So this is definitely a big push. We did some events at Pika Pika as well, because we know that we need to get the students in early. The data will show that once we have them in 3 and 4-year-old, in our 3 and 4-year-old program, we keep them. So we definitely want to work on enrollment. So yes, ma'am, I can certainly get that information for you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Mata.
have we done any research from the siblings of students that we already have? Since the parents, when they fill out the form, they got to put if they have younger kids. And that way we can send a letter or a flyer to that house.
So to answer that question, the answer to that would be yes, Mr. Mancha. I know throughout the year, not only this year, but the year prior when I first got to Harlandale, the robocalls and the flyers that go out, we count on the older siblings to take those home, since that's almost kind of free advertising for us. We send it home with all of the students and not necessarily just siblings that may have placed, that they have somebody else in the household. We send it to our elementary schools, do a great job of sending those home. And it's a kind of a recruiting technique to ensure that if there is any members in the household, so that we can get them signed up online as soon as possible.
I know that we have done that in the past. What I'm saying is that when the kid fills out a form, when the parents fill out the form, they state, I have a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old. So when we know that that child is going to end up having to go to school, can we visit that household, or can we send a letter to the house or an email instead of sending it with a kid?
I'm sure that with the online system now, it might even be easier for us, Mr. Manta, to track that information as opposed to paper applications that we did in the past, because you're going back and you're looking at paper. But I think with the online system, there may be a way to track that information. I'd be more than willing to explore that, especially with our information services. I know that they may have some of those tricks to get that information, but it's certainly something that we can explore. I think it's a
Yeah,
very
because
good
I know
idea.
IDEA does that, because they've been trying to recruit my nephews, because one of them went to IDEA, and now they're sending letters so they can get the two youngest ones.
I see. I know that we do send it home. We do send information home with all of our elementary students. And we do robocalls, and we do the same when we have our recruiting events. Even when we had the district there at Harlandale Stadium, where parents came by, we have our heads in the car. How old is he? How old is he? Is he in school? Where does he go to school? You can enroll him. Because that's what we do. We're a team of 3, but I think certainly that is something that we can explore and look at as a team to try to target those students who are in the home who are not even of school age yet.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Moreno, go ahead.
So if you can, Ms. Casey, when are we going to revisit the GO, the GPM? No, Ms. Casey, if she can just share when we're going to revisit the GO, because that's the focus, right?
So I believe that they're trying to schedule a meeting in August, and that's when the board will have a work session, and that's when we will revisit.
So that's when we'll have the kind of an idea, more or less. Okay.
Anybody else? Thank you, Ms. Wagner.
Thank you very much.
Agenda item 6C, the board will hear a presentation on the Harlandale ISD Acceleration Learning Plan developed in partnership with ED Direction as part of TA Resilient School Support Program. Mr. Soto?
Yes, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, Melissa Casey.
Ms. Cavazos and Board of Trustees, we have been working with Ed Direction as part of Resilient School Support Program through TEA. We've been working with them probably since April. We are at a point now that we're ready to present where we're at moving forward. We have had input from all stakeholders, and we will continue to get input. I am going to turn the presentation over to Carrie Miller. She will be leading the Ed Direction team, and she will also have the PowerPoint. And Carrie and her team will introduce themselves to you as well as they present. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Casey, and thank you, Madam Chair, and the esteemed leaders of the Harlandale ISD community. It looks like my colleague Ben is trying to share his screen right now, but he's currently unable. His name is Ben Steffen. Wondering if it's possible to share, or if it's possible for me to share. Either one works.
Yeah, yes, he has the ability now.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. So I have the opportunity to, Ben, if you want to advance the slide, to share with you an overview of the Resilient School Support Program, or RSSP. What we'll do is share with you a bit about where we've been, the journey we've been on together with Harlandale since April, and based on the meaningful conversations, strategic thinking, and data collection that we've conducted, where we plan to go next through this initiative. You'll also have time at the end of this just high-level overview to answer any questions that arise as we present. The Resilient School Support Program, or RSSP, is one of Texas Education Association's several initiatives that have been created because of COVID-19, because of the pandemic-related quarantine and the first anticipated and now confirmed learning loss that has occurred for some students, not just in Harlandale, but for sure around the state of Texas, also nationally, if not internationally. The outcome of our work together is to accelerate learning very strategically. TEA has identified several acceleration strategies, and through thoughtful strategic planning, Harlandale's team, together with ours, has worked to identify several for specific subgroups within the district that we believe will have a meaningful impact on accelerating learning in order to mitigate the learning loss that's occurred. We're going to do that as we wrap up strategic planning right now. We'll move into implementation, which includes an ongoing supportive planning as well as coaching and professional development. The RSSP team will also have opportunities from around the state through TEA to be able to collaborate and problem solve with one another, because as we know, with anything through COVID and what we've experienced in the last year and a half, we're doing our best to all as educators leverage what we know with trying to create and innovate in a very unknown reality. Ben, if you want to advance to the next slide. Perfect. So here are the esteemed team members from Harlandale who've been working very closely with our team. The individuals that you see listed here have been meeting with us weekly, if not twice weekly, responding at a rapid clip to ensure that we have everything planned and prepared in a thoughtful way before we begin implementation. The Ed Direction team members who have been participating and will continue to participate in this work in the upcoming year not only bring expertise from evidence-based practices in teaching and in leading and in strategic thinking, but also very specific context and understanding of what works in Texas schools. All right, and with that, we're going to just dig a little bit deeper into where we've been that led to the decisions that the Harlandale team together with Ed Direction have made. So we know first and foremost that there have been profound challenges met by Harlandale's educators in the last 16 months, if not longer. But we also know that because of very deliberate efforts to be innovative with the way technology has been used during COVID and learning from home, through collaborative efforts, through very deliberate relationship building and relationship sustaining, particularly through making emotional connections with students and families, that learning has been able to continue despite the many obstacles that COVID's presented. That being said, we do know that learning loss is happening. And like I mentioned before, it's not just happening here, it's happening everywhere. We know from an analysis of Harlandale's 2021 STAR assessments that some subgroups have been impacted, and middle school campuses have actually had a pretty big impact, appreciating that approximately 80% of middle school students that assessed most recently are currently testing below grade level. And so with that in mind, we wanted to not only use student performance data, but also leverage an understanding of the stakeholders who have played a role in this work so far and who will be playing a role in RSSP efforts moving forward. So we conducted survey and focus group data collection in the last 6 weeks to understand from those who will be involved what's happening, what's worked, and what could be working better. And we were really excited to see the optimism and excitement that those who will be participating in this effort have about the work. However, we saw opportunity as well, and that opportunity links directly to the available curricular resources that are at play, as well as how we teach and how we lead in service of student learning, and also which students we work with directly. I'm going to pass the time to Ben now, who's going to show us in a little bit more detail which data we utilize specifically in order to inform our decisions.
Awesome, thanks, Carrie. So as Carrie mentioned, we did a bit of primary data collection as well as analyzed some student achievement and engagement data. So all in all, we looked at 32 different student data files that were transferred over to us. And then with respect to the primary data collection, we launched surveys with parents and families as well as teachers. And then we also conducted focus groups with counselors and social workers, school administrators, and then CNI staff as well. Across the board, there were kind of 3 areas that we really wanted to look at in this primary data collection. One was, the student achievement and engagement. The other was the trends over time, so looking at year over year increases and or declines. And then with respect to the focus groups and interviews, we really wanted to reflect on the quality of student learning the past year, academic and socio-emotional priorities for this upcoming year, and then specifically dig into and probe on resources and supports that would be most useful for this upcoming year. So I'll pass it back to Carrie, and she can talk a little bit about looking ahead, some of the key questions that we were able to answer in that data collection.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, So we know that there are opportunities based on this analysis to look hard at the available instructional materials and focus in on high quality instructional materials, appreciating that Texas offers many of those. We also know that there are supports and opportunities to strengthen how we teach and how we lead related to academic focuses, but also socio-emotional supports, which are needed not only for students, but staff as well. And then discrete efforts to, again, address any of the learning that's lost or been lost over time. And we said increased communication. However, as we've listened to the board meeting today, we know that communication is a priority for this group of leaders. And so I would say perhaps we meant to say sustain communication and be thoughtful about the ways to continue to ensure that all of the stakeholders, just as we've discussed in past sessions up until now, that all stakeholders are hearing what they need to have the knowledge that they need and the information that they need to be successful. We are honing in after a lot of thinking with the Harlandale team on middle school grades for the aforementioned reasons for what the data showed, looking both at tested subject areas of ELAR and math with the approved accelerated strategies by TEA, the foundational strategies of focusing in on high quality instructional materials, and then not only knowing what all the standards are, the TEKS, that students need to know and understand, but also meaningful strategies to prioritize those. And finally, the team collectively decided to also take a pilot group from Leo Middle School and prioritize just-in-time intervention, which is a method to, through strategic small grouping, take students and ensure that they have the contextual knowledge they need to be successful in what they're learning here and now in the moment and moving forward. Ben, I'm going to pass the time back to you for a little bit more of the data, and then we'll do a quick summary and open it up for questions.
Thanks, Carrie. So we'll double click on each of these key questions that we answered. So this first one was around what supports parents and teachers need most next year. So we relied mostly on those parent and teacher surveys, but also some of the focus groups, specifically with CNI and teachers, and as well as counselors and social workers in buildings. So there are kind of three major takeaways. One was the need for aligned and rigorous curriculum and professional development on core instructional practices. The second was guidance on how to use effective instruction to promote a positive learning environment. And then the third kind of key takeaway or key support was specific efforts dedicated to addressing the student learning loss that happened this past year, by and large exacerbated by COVID. When we kind of double clicked on the second question, which students can RSSP best support, as Carrie mentioned, we wanted to prioritize middle school and specifically ELAR and math. Why those? We first began actually looking at the district benchmark exams, and then as started data began to come in, we kind of cross-referenced the two and really narrowed in on middle school and those two subjects. When we looked at the data, the district average was 26% meets for 2021 STAR assessment results for middle school ELAR, and that was down slightly from the 2019 district average of 29% meets. When we looked at the middle school math data, specifically the 2021 STAR assessment results, the district average was 15% meets, and that was down significantly from the 2019 district average of 38% meets. So by and large, the district benchmark data also kind of corroborated the STAR assessment results that we were able to analyze. And then you'll notice as well, Carrie had mentioned that we wanted to pilot just-in-time intervention at Leal Middle School, and you can see here that Leal had slightly lower scores or assessment results than in both ELAR and math than the other middle schools. So how can we accelerate student learning? This is sort of just a double click on those three learning acceleration strategies that Carrie already mentioned. The first two are foundational learning strategies found in Texas Education Agency's Effective Schools Framework, and that's ensuring that all students have access to high quality instructional materials. We've already begun working with the CNI team to really begin to dig deep into that and see how we can provide professional development and coaching to teachers on how to adapt current curriculum and possibly supplement current curriculum to meet student needs. We'll begin working on, in a later improvement cycle, the prioritization of essential grade level knowledge and skills, emphasizing those core conceptual understandings needed for the long-term progression of learning. And then again, just to reiterate, just-in-time intervention will be prioritized for Leal Middle School. And then we'll look to kind of expand that pilot and lessons learned and best practices from that to other middle schools. So I'll actually hand it back over to Carrie just to kind of wrap us up and talk through some additional planning considerations, and then we'll take questions.
Yeah, and would you know, my hope is that by this time next year, when I'm presenting in front of you again, I will have my Leal Middle School hat on and t-shirt on. And even though I practiced pronouncing it the correct way, Ben just reminded me 3 times that I mispronounced it earlier. So I apologize about that. But just a couple of final considerations. And one of the many reasons we love working with Harlandale is that we're moving quickly, and Harlandale is pushing us rather than the other way around, which is great. So what you can see on the screen are a couple of considerations in our planning, including the fact that we are making plans for in-person learning. We are working to be very thoughtful about the other important initiatives that are occurring at Harlandale as well. You can see a few listed here. And then you can see across the bottom of the screen some of the key deadlines that we're working to achieve, and we are feeling confident we'll be able to because of the Harlandale team, including planning professional learning for the beginning of the year, setting short-term strategic goals that are ambitious, that are linked to student performance, but also linked to implementation supports, and then also ensuring that all stakeholders are involved. So with that, that's the end of our presentation. Happy to answer any questions or discuss any comments that have arisen for your team. Thank you so much, Madam Chair and team. Oh, I don't know if you can hear me. It looks like, Madam Chair, you might be speaking. I'm unable to hear right now.
See if we
Oh,
could get
no.
quarterly or half year or something
We will.
before the end of the year.
We meet at a minimum one time a week. We've been meeting 2 and 3 times a week. And so whatever data we have, I can share in HH, but we can also have presentations.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Moreno.
So I know the focus and its targeted intervention towards our middle schools. That's what it seems to be highlighted, right? Now, could you kind of just expand on how we're utilizing this, with fidelity and with the efficiency, if you can, Ms. Casey or Mr. Soto?
Sure. So we are just starting this, and what we did is when we looked at the data, we found there were many concerns in many areas. And we initially kind of went around looking at K2 math, but as more data came in and STAR data came in, it was very apparent that middle schools needed to be our focus. When she shared what our priorities are, those are going to run K-12. But the focus, which will be additional support from the Ed Direction team, will be focused at middle school. So middle school is going to have this extra intensive support, but K-12, we're going to have common things that you're going to see, like prioritizing standards, deciding on what are the components of a lesson plan that must be consistent across the district. Those are standardized practices that you will see. So the fidelity part is a huge component. Those are going to be the non-negotiables. So it's going to be a rollout to principals, to teachers, to our MCLs, all of our staff. These are the non-negotiables, the verbiage you're going to hear across the district. This is what will be priorities and lesson plans. This is going to be something that you should hear from every leader, whether it's a district leader or a campus leader. That's actually what we're working on now, and we should have something hopefully in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, Madam. So also, Ms. Casey, I know with the MCLs, and I should have probably asked this earlier, but for me, I thought it was just kind of a spearheaded it by us initiative. I didn't necessarily know it was actually in connection or in conjunction with somebody else. But when it comes to the MCLs, you know, I imagine that's one of the reasonings behind, you know, going through that initiative and being able to utilize these guys for that specific targeted intervention, right? Or
So the MCLs were actually an initiative from us. It's not something we created. It's kind of a model that Texas has kind of created previous to that. So this was something that was our initiative. And what Ed Direction does very well is it looks at what are we doing or what do we plan to do? And then they decide, how can we support you? Because it's about supporting the initiatives we have. The big thing today when we met with them is we are not looking to add work to teachers. We're looking to see what are we doing now? How do we elevate those practices? And then how do we implement it to make sure we're affecting student outcomes? So they are actually part of that process, and you'll see how we're going to support and train MCLs through this as well.
I guess in one additional question or something to supplement that. I noticed it's a diagnostic assessments. Now, are those just the BOYs, the MOYs, or are we looking at weekly assessments or biweekly assessments?
Hey, that's a great question. We will have BOY, MOY, EOA data, but we're also going to have common assessments. And then a big part of this is formative assessments. It's really checking every day, what are kids doing? What is the success criteria for kids in every single day lesson plans? So I think you're going to hear more and more about that. So I'm going to say yes to all of those ways of measuring progress.
Yeah, because I think just to add commentary, just being, you know, it's always tough to not be able to build off your own experience, but you do have it where there is a lot of work that's been conducted, and you guys have put in a lot of effort, and so as a staff at, you know, every level, and you know, it's tough to do those weekly progress measures, you know, to do them where the kids are actually doing them, you know, where we're actually able to gauge, are they really making the effort versus, you know, they're just taking a little summative, you know, weekly or formative quiz. Because I know it's where I'm at, it's something where we're having to do it from, you know, biweekly now to weekly, and it's something that's a little, it doesn't necessarily reflect sometimes what's being done in the classroom.
You make a great point, and I think that's going to be a real shift for us this year, because the one thing we don't have is time. We need to make sure that we're utilizing every minute we have with kids and in front of kids. We can't let a week or two go, because we are going to have quite a bit of accelerating and catching up to do. Thank you, Mr. Moreno.
Any other questions or comments for Ms. Casey? Okay, thank you so much. Moving on, agenda item 6D, Bexar County School Board Coalition information. Yes, yes, come on in, come. I thought, well, maybe he doesn't hear me through my microphone. Yes, welcome, welcome. Thank you, Mr. Moreno.
Oh, that's what you're telling me. Okay, thanks. I should listen to you. Okay, once again, my name is Bobby Blunt. I'm a trustee with Northside ISD, but this evening I'm here as president of our Bexar County School Boards Coalition. For those that aren't familiar, hope everybody knows what the Bexar County School Board Coalition is, but it was established in 2008, and it was established only for board members, so all of you are actually members, for Board of Trustee members only in the San Antonio and surrounding area. So it consists of the 20 independent school districts that are partially or wholly in Bexar County. We established it in order to allow us to, one, initially we did a lot of training together. When we have sort of areas, and it's always common ground that we want to work in common, those are the type of things that we're doing, and you'll see a lot of advocacy and a lot of other things associated with it. It is a not-for-profit corporation, so it's its own 501c3. I bring that up because when I drove up, it was good to see the Go Public out there, but most people don't realize that Go Public is a campaign that we all support, but it actually falls under the Bexar County School Board Coalition legally in terms of its operation as a whole. So that's one reason why the coalition is important also. I go around every, I don't know, about every 3 or 4 years, just give everybody an update. So I'm going to be attending 19 school board meetings during the next couple of months. No comment on that part, but just a couple of things. This has been a very busy year for the coalition. Just a couple of examples. One of the things that the state really depend on, and other trustees across the state depended on, is when we had to really talk about local control during the pandemic. The big push, the ones that really got a letter to the governor, we're the only region from a school board sense, with the exception of TASB naturally, that was able to agree as a whole that this is what we wanted to address for local control in that particular regard. There are other things also. Yeah. Yeah. In addition, the other thing that we were able to do is meetings with Metro Health. I think you all know the challenges and things that they were facing. Metro Health actually wanted to talk to the Board of Trustees, so we provide those type of forums. So those are the type of things that we do. The one I do want to bring up, the other reason why I'm here is our book number 2 is out now. This is all of our books for the trustees, public education in the San Antonio area. Ricardo was a big part of that. He was part of our our separate committee we had. We had 11 members that were developing this book. I do want to bring up one other thing about Harlandale. Harlandale was the first district to really set the template for what is a major section of this particular book. So hats off to your communications and your other team also in that regard. Just a couple of things about the book. It is available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and some other places. What the book actually highlights itself, the first chapter talks about the whole area of San Antonio. So we didn't separate out the districts in themselves. It just says, this is the data about San Antonio. This is the history. This is when our district's established, et cetera. The second chapter, and I heard some discussion on this, is really meant to highlight and market your particular district. So every district has a couple of pages where they highlight their major achievements, their major accomplishments, and a little bit of information about the district. Chapter 3 was the one that caused us to be a 2-year project, which I don't have to repeat to you all, but what it highlights is the very first 60 days of the pandemic. So it really talks about the food service, the counseling and other services that we provide that we had to quickly react within the first 60 days. Chapter 3, then the next chapter then talks about Go Public, the history of Go Public, and documents that part. So that's what our book's all about. So I just want to pass that on to you all. I do welcome you all to one. You probably get my emails and other things. If you have any questions or comments. One other item we're having on Thursday, there will be a Go Public meeting, and I hope you all make it, because the purpose of that meeting on Thursday morning, it is a breakfast meeting, is to really set the tone for the next year. And we're really trying to push those grassroots efforts for Go Public. There's a lot of interest nationally and state, but we said that's really Bexar County's Go Public. So we're really going to talk about that. So we invite you all to be there. And the last thing I want to do, I want to thank Mariana for her support and her help to us. Sorry, I didn't know about the last name change. But but I do want to present you with one of our books for everything you have.
Hey.
So thank you. I know you have a long meeting, so I want to keep it short, but thank you all.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Madam Chair, and just to, if I can.
Yes, sir.
You know, like Mr. Blunt said, he works pretty diligently with this Go Public initiative, and you know, we are paying members into this, and we work collectively, and there's always things that we bounce off each other that he's able to support us with, and he's a great resource and tool for us, and it's something that, you know, I really do appreciate him always being open and receptive and answering either text messages or emails, and he does support us, and a lot of times it was great because in working with them, we were able to showcase the things that we do and the things that they do that we didn't know that we could highlight, and that's what's fantastic about working collaboratively in the Go Public initiative, is that we definitely are supporting one another. So I appreciate his leadership in taking those initiatives on, because sometimes it's just him and I'm there, I'm like, what's going on here? So I mean, he works his tail off, so I appreciate him for that. So thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
And it was true about Mariana, Ms. Viera. She did help with the template, and you know, I kind of had a suggestion. I was like, this is how they're doing, how we do it here, and she was able to provide, you know, photos and things of that were able to be used as examples for the book and how it should be constructed. So kudos to her as well, and to the team.
Moving on, agenda item 7, consent items. Are there any questions on agenda item 7A, 7B, C, or D?
No, Madam Chair,
Yes, sir, Mr. Moreno.
I make a motion to approve items A through D as listed on the agenda.
I will second your motion, Mr. Moreno. And I am going to take the vote. So, Mr. Moreno, yay or nay to approve consent items A, B, C, and D?
Yay.
Mr. Mancha,
Yay.
Mr. Luna,
Yay.
Ms. Limon,
Yay.
Ms. Carrillo,
Yay.
Ms. Ortiz,
Yay.
and myself, yay. So agenda item 7, A, B, C, and D pass. Agenda item 8, individual items. 8A, discuss and consider approval of the proposed budget for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir, Mr. Moreno.
I move to approve and discuss the proposed budget for the 2021-2022 fiscal year.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Is there a second on Mr. Moreno's motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Carrillo. I will go ahead and take the vote.
Well, Madam Chair,
Oh,
if
yes,
I like,
you wanna
because
discuss?
I actually
I'm sorry.
was,
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to, just highlight and address some things before.
Yes,
Because
sir.
I wanted to just have Mr. Hernandez be able to present. So you don't have to raise up, sir. I just wanted to highlight some of the key things that you guys were able to work on. And I want to give great, appreciation to Mr. Soto and team and being able to find ways to be, I guess you could say, innovative in a sense, and doing things that are going to be beneficial to our staff and that are going to have long-term impacts of our kids. I know we saw some things. I know being on social media, Twitter, Instagram, you do see things, and I was kind of shocked whenever I saw what Edgewood ISD did, and then to see Mr. Soto and team just show up with newfound support for initiatives. I was very pleased to see that. And I'm glad that you guys are taking that approach. I know you guys are taking a lot of things into consideration. Mr. Soto's bringing out great ideas in recruiting our kids, making us potentially an open enrollment district that's going to have a long-term dividends for us, finding ways to recruit staff members and retain them, a stipend that mostly or a majority of districts are not going to be implementing or utilizing. So there are different things that he has in place. Finding ways for us to do things in a successful manner, in addition to extending our days, finding ways to add additional funds, and also finding ways to accelerate the learning process for our kids. So I just want to say, sir, you're doing a lot of things that already are innovative and that are just immensely appreciated. And that's the reason why we support you, and that's the reason why I'm glad to have you as our leader, and to see that you're doing things and you're working with us collaboratively. You're not, dismissing what we're saying or what our staff are saying or what our community is saying. And that's something that definitely speaks volumes and is a huge testament to you and your team. So thank you.
Anybody else? Before I move forward with the vote, Mr. Luna? No? You're looking at me. I'm not sure what you,
My
why
my
you're
only
looking
point
at
of
me.
information was on a discussion was, can you raise the bar to $13? What does that affect? Is that $13 up for everybody? Because I had a employee come up to me saying that a newer person's gonna may get more money than she is because she's already on a higher scale than this person. So are we boosting up? I didn't see the chart, so I need to picture it. So I was going for the other consideration, like making a minimum $1 per hourly person. So I don't know where that discussion went to. Thank you.
Mr. Soto?
Yeah, Mr. Hernandez, go ahead and explain that, the rationale behind the $13 being the base and then everybody else getting adjusted and then getting an increase.
Yes, sir. And that's correct. And that's a valid concern from the individual, especially when they look at the present pay scale that's out there on our website. What we did ask TASB to do is that if that minimum amount was going to be $13, then anybody that was earning that or very close to it needed to be adjusted as though they were still on the old scale. So if on the old scale, the minimum was $11.25, and they were just slightly above $13, then that gap between the $11.25 and the $13 is going to get adjusted on this new pay range. So that way you keep that same space between somebody who just started and is going to be guaranteed the $13 to the person who's already here. They get moved up on the pay range. And that's what TASB did for us, is they looked at all our pay ranges and they adjusted that. So that kind of circumstance wouldn't occur.
So Mr. Hernandez, we're not just starting the pay at $13. We're moving everybody up.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh,
Yeah, according to their pay range. So when we look at where they're at on their pay range right now, exactly that. So the minimum is going to be $13 for any employee starting with the district. Now we have different pay grades, got pay grade 1, 2, and so pay grade 2, their starting minimum is going to be a lot higher than pay grade 1. So they're going to be above it. But yes, we're adjusting everybody so everybody's treated fairly.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Limon.
So the employees' average ranges from 3.35% to 3.5. How is that going to look on a pay scale?
So on the pay scale, let me get my information. So when I looked at the new pay ranges and basically computed the 3% increase on all the midpoints, it could range between 0.48 cents, 48 cents an hour added to their current pay rate, all the way up to 96 cents an hour to their current pay rate. And when you look at the midpoints of, like, for the paraprofessionals at pay grade 1, the midpoint is $15.85. So you got to range between $13 as the minimum to the midpoint of $15.85. To those that have been here for many years, it can go as high as $18.70. So again, the midpoint at pay grade 1 starts at $15.85, and then it progresses. Pay grade 3 goes up to $17.47. Pay grade 5 jumps to $19.99. So again, it depends where they're at on the pay range. But again, it's not, it's based on that midpoint to where you get that calculation. So that's why they say, it depends where the employee's at and the average that they're going to be getting on that increase. So by bumping up the pay ranges, then the 3% is on the new pay range. And so when you compute that amount, you have to look at, okay, what are they currently earning? And that difference, that's why you get that variance of the percentage of 3.35 to 3.5%.
Go ahead, Ms. Ortiz.
I have a couple of questions. So I too agree that Mr. Soto and his staff has been doing a wonderful job. COVID-19 certainly threw that roadblock, and y'all found a way over it, around it, and are working towards that. There's a couple of things that I would like for the district to consider. The recommended stipend of 600 to possibly, if we could, double that to 1,200. I didn't hear anything about a Reading Academy stipend, something that had been discussed previously. I just remember that. And then the other thing is that I would like for our recruitment budget to increase, however it is that y'all want to increase it. But I think that Mariana needs more resources so that we can reach out for billboards, street banners, business posters, the posters, the yard signs, the billboards, more radio. I'd like to see more radio ads, robocalls. I think that we're doing a disservice by not giving her enough money for her to do that. Because folks, I don't know about you, but my drive to work is filled with radio ads from charter schools. I drive to work and I see the yard signs along 35 for another charter school that's coming into our district. I too, on Facebook, I regrettably have not seen Harlandale Independent School District on those pop-up ads, but I have seen charter schools. And I would just, I can't even begin to tell you how many postcards I have received. I am in 78221, and I have gotten postcards from Southside ISD, South San ISD, and SAISD. And I just think she needs more resources, and I don't know how we do it. And I don't know if the ESSER funds will cover it, but Mariana, you're doing a great job with the limited resources that you have. But I, for one, would like to see you get, or your department get much more love, if you will. Because I would like for Harlandale Independent School District, especially if we become an open enrollment district, and because we have so much to offer that a lot of people don't know about. If we start doing the innovative things, I don't want it to be a secret. I want everybody to know. I want everybody to want to come to the Harlandale Independent School District because we're offering things that are not offered, whether it be charter schools or other public independent school districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. Anybody else?
Yes, Madam Chair. Ms. Ortiz, you brought up a few items. The stipend, as Mr. Hernandez presented, $600 for now, and we wanted to revisit that as stated, and come back and see where we're at financially around October, November, and see if we can give another 600 like we did last year. We did 1,000 total. The Reading Academies, what we did is we gave some teachers time, and there's never enough time, right? It was a very strenuous program, but what we're doing this summer is we're paying a little bit more money per individual, and we're doing it in the summer, and we're allowing them to do a trade out day. So instead of a stipend to them, just them, they're able to take off some days in November or is it November, right, Ms. Casey? They're able to trade out some days in November, and so they're actually going to get paid. They're actually getting paid to go this summer because they're able to take off in November, right? And then, and you made Mariana really smile big, but we will be creative, and me and Mr. Hernandez will figure something out. And we've been on it. We understand the importance of recruiting our children and showcasing our district, and we'll continue at that.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. I just think that it's just they're bombarded with advertisements, whether it be whatever type of media is out there. And I just would like for us to showcase our talents, our programs, and everything that is good in Harlandale Independent School District. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I will
Madam
move.
Chair,
Yes, Mr.
I
Luna.
just want to make a friendly, a motion. I don't know if it's a friendly motion or not, but to amend Mr. Moreno's motion to say to increase the stipend to $1,200 and to increase, make a stipend available for those that cannot go to the Reading Academies, because I saw some data that there was not enough room this summer for us. It's only 25 spots and 40 something people applied. And then I'm not sure on the trade-off days, is it going to be same 1 for 1 or is there not? Okay. So whatever that may be, so the ones that cannot get that, I would like to make a $1,500 stipend for those that go to the Reading Academies.
So are you on a subsequent motion?
Yes.
Is there a second on Mr. Luna's substitute motion? Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Before you ask for a second, I just want to remind the board that your responsibility is to approve or reject the budget. It really is not to specify the work to be done. You have a superintendent who's brought his best recommendation to you. So your role is to approve it or reject it.
And just for my clarification, our role is not to amend his recommendation. It's just either to accept it or not.
The administrative role is to determine what the stipends will be and to bring those at the appropriate time for approval. But it's not for the board to initiate that. That's an administrative function.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Subsequent motion on the table. Is there a second?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Carrillo.
I move to previous question.
Okay, so we are going to take the vote on agenda item 8A. Mr. Moreno, you had made a motion and Ms. Carrillo had seconded. So I'm taking the vote. Mr. Moreno, yay or nay to
Yay.
approve agenda item 8A?
Yay, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Carrillo, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Luna, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. Ms. Limon, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Mancha, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. Ms. Ortiz, yay or nay?
Yay.
And myself, yay. So agenda item 8A passes. Agenda item 8B, consider and take appropriate action regarding initiating the process to become a district of innovation and authorize the superintendent to proceed with setting the benefits. Mr. Soto, did you have anything that you wanted to comment on that agenda item?
Basically, ma'am, as it states, it's allowing us as a district to start having conversations, to research. As we know, the biggest problem that we've had here at Harlandale is getting our children certified in those CTE courses. And the reasoning is we don't have individuals that are coming with their teacher certification to those. And when we do, they end up leaving in a short time. So we asked the board to improve the stipend, which we did. That's one. And the one big designation that we want to look at with the district innovation is to give us that flexibility and put individuals that are experts to teach our children to end up eventually getting a certification in that area and that field.
Thank you, Mr. Soto. Is there a motion for agenda item 8B?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Ortiz.
I move that the board allow Mr. Soto to initiate the process to become a district of innovation and authorize the superintendent to proceed with studying the benefits.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. Is there a second on Ms. Ortiz's motion? I will second that motion. I will go ahead and take the vote now. Ms. Ortiz, yay or nay on agenda item 8B?
Yay.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Limon, yay or nay on agenda item 8B?
Nay.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Luna, yay or nay?
Madam Chair, nay.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mancha, yay or nay?
Nay.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Moreno, yay or nay?
Nay, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. And myself, oh, Ms. Carrillo, I'm sorry. I saw a C. Ms. Carrillo, yay or nay?
Nay.
Thank you, ma'am. And myself, yay. So agenda item 8B does not pass.
Madam President.
Yes, ma'am.
I regret having to do this, but I will issue a directive in accordance with the Texas Education Code, section 39A.003, that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to initiate the study of becoming a district of innovation.
Very well, ma'am. So per, I mean,
Madam
doctor,
Chair?
yes, sir. I was.
So does that mean that I don't have a voice? Does that mean that I don't have a voice? I was elected here to represent the community. And it was, I don't think I'm in a dictatorship. I thought we were in a democratic party.
Your vote will be recorded in the minutes, but, my directive will override the vote of the board.
Can I get that information in writing?
I will give it to you in writing. Yes,
Thank
I'll
you.
send it to Mr. Soto tomorrow. It's really inconsistent with what I hear you saying to vote against this. You talk about wanting innovation, seeing the very best things developed in this district. And we're asking just for being able to hire expert teachers in an area that's difficult to find certified teachers. So I just find it interesting that the motion failed when you talk about wanting to see innovative practices.
Madam Chair, just briefly, I do feel confident in our superintendent, and he has added some attributes of innovation without the designation. He has done some things that I feel are in accordance with supporting our vision and our shared ideals. Now, that's open for interpretation, as you say, but ultimately, I just feel strongly Mr. Soto will be able to do what he needs to do, regardless of the route that he takes. As I did earlier, mention, I highlighted some components that we're focused on. Now, I'm not in agreement with uncertified people, because we can do that already. And we can have that ability to have them hopefully get certified within a year. So that isn't necessarily true on the sentiments that you're echoing. But I still feel strongly in what Mr. Soto can say and the things that he shares with us, whether it's the extended school day with ATSI, whether it's his ability to recruit and find a way to make a budget where we're adding $7,000 to incentivize teachers to come that are potentially only going to stay with us for 1 year. Case in example, we have a police officer or police informant position that was hired last year, and already this year we're without that person. So there's a lot of things that Mr. Soto's already doing to support that innovation without the designation. And I just like, just to share that with you, not to disagree disrespectfully, but just to share my sentiments, and thank you for allowing me that.
I understand.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. Anyone else? Okay. Agenda item 8C. Consider and take appropriate action to review, approve, and adopt revised policy, DGBA Local Personnel Management Relations Employee Complaints Grievances.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Moreno.
you know what? I actually moved to accept items C and D as stated.
C and D only?
Yes.
Okay,
I second.
thank you. I will go ahead and take the vote on.
Is there going to be any discussion? Is there a presentation? Any discussion?
Yes, yes, sir.
Dr. Salinas?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair and School Board. I will focus on item C right now, which is DGBA Local Personnel Management Relations Employee Complaints and Grievances. We are asking through our TASB Lone Star Governance Review, we did review the D series, which is personnel, and it was recommended that we eliminate level 2, the mediation committee, for the grievance process. The mediation committee does not have authority to grant remedies involving pay or employment evaluations or documentation. Level 2 really postpones the grievance process for the grievant. With this revision, we would have 3 levels of the grievance process instead of 4.
So the only thing that we're not having is that mediation committee, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Other than that, everything stays the same?
Yes, ma'am. Level 3 would now be with the board versus level 4.
Thank you, Dr. Salinas. Any questions before we move to the vote? Okay. So agenda item 8C and D. Can I combine them together? Or we have to do an individual vote? Okay, so I'm taking the vote for agenda item 8C and D.
You want me to speak on item D? Does anyone want me to speak on that?
Do you all need a presentation?
I would.
Okay. I'm sorry, I just did C and I didn't know what we were going to do. So item D is regarding DEC local compensation and benefits, leaves and absences. We would actually like to implement a catastrophic sick leave bank for the 21-22 school year. Ms. Guajardo did send out an employee survey. We had a lot of positive responses. In that, we had people say, yes, I would be interested. Yes, I'd be willing to donate 1 day, which is what we would be asking if this is approved. This policy revision includes the definition of a catastrophic illness or injury, as well as outlines the sick leave bank parameters for board policy. The additional policy revisions would include clarification on the schedule of limitations for discretionary leave. So currently we already have this portion, I think it's on page 4 of 8. We already have this on our discretionary leave form. So when people want to be absent more than 3 days or before and after a holiday, we already have this on our form. We just didn't have it in our policy. So we'd be adding it to the policy. And then the final revision is about clarifying AWOL, which is absence without leave, that it's not acceptable. And this does not affect employees who are on FML or any type of approved medical leave.
Any questions or comments for Dr. Salinas on agenda item 8D? Nope. Thank you, Dr. Salinas.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to move forward with the vote. Mr. Mancha, yay or nay on agenda item 8C and D?
A. Yay.
Yay, okay. I thought. No, no problem. Mr. Luna, yay or nay on agenda item 8C and D?
Yay.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Ortiz, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Moreno, yay or nay?
Yay, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Carrillo, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Limon, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you, ma'am. And I am going to say yay to both agenda item 8C and D, so they pass. Agenda item 8E, consider and take appropriate action to review, approve, and adopt revised policy, FD local admissions and FDA local admissions interdistrict transfers.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Moreno.
I move to approve and adopt revised policy, FD local admissions and FDA local admissions interdistrict transfers.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. I will second your motion.
If I may, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Just another thing that I wanted to echo from earlier is the fact that this is another key component or key element of Mr. Soto using his ingenuity and finding ways to recruit students here. I find this something that I know he's shared with us a while back, and it's great to see it come to fruition. And it's great to know that we're going to find ways to actively recruit our students back, or actively recruit students that are going to earn an exemplary education here at Harlandale.
Yes, sir. You're true, Mr. Moreno. Thank you for those fine words. I will go ahead and take the vote now. Mr. Luna, yay or nay to approve agenda item 8E?
Yay.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mancha, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. Mr. Moreno, yay or nay?
Yay, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Limon, yay or nay?
Yay, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Carrillo, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. Ms. Ortiz, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz, and myself, yay. So agenda item 8E passes. Agenda item 8F, consider and take appropriate action on the request to award RFP 20028 to SWBC as agent of record for ancillary products effective July 1st, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll second.
You can't make the motion.
Who made the first motion? I'm sorry.
I
That's
make
okay,
a-
Ms. Carrillo, that's okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I move to approve and I move to consider and take appropriate action on the request to award RFP 2000028 to SWBC as agent of record for auxiliary products effective July 1st, 2021.
Before I ask for a second, is there any discussion?
No, I just like Mr. Soto, if he can just elaborate on, I know that there were some concerns, and I know that was shared between us, and I'm sure you can
Yes, sir.
elaborate on what the rationale behind.
So
it
Madam
is.
Chair, can I second to open for discussion
Yes, sir.
before we?
Yes, before we start discussing.
Yes, we can discuss unless
Yes.
we second.
Thank you, Mr. Mancha.
Okay, Dr. Salinas?
Yes, this RFP went out in March. We were requesting services for an agent of record for ancillary benefits only. The requested services would include enrollment platform and maintenance for all district benefit offerings, new hire and annual enrollment services, marketing and placement of ancillary plans, the ACA, which is the Affordable Care Act, compliance monitoring, and also our FSA, flexible spending accounts, HSA. I don't remember what the H stands for now, but I have an HSA. Health savings account, thank you. And COBRA administration, sorry. Proposals were submitted by 7 groups to include Alamo Insurance Group, Barrett Insurance Services, Combined Benefits Group, Financial Benefit Services, First Financial Group of America, U.S. Employee Benefit Services, and the incumbent SWBC. We had a committee of 4 individuals who reviewed the proposals that were submitted. That was our head nurse, we had a teacher, myself, and also Ms. Guajardo. We actually met twice to review the submissions. The submissions were provided to the committee. We were told our task was to review them all and to come back. So we reviewed them individually, and then we came back to meet as a group to look at what were our top recommendations. And we actually had the same top 2 recommendations, surprisingly. With those went to cabinet, Mr. Soto and cabinet. We had some clarifying questions that then we sent to all 7 groups that submitted. Those clarifying questions came back. Again, we went back to cabinet. And we had a lot of discussion about, do we want to change or not? This is ancillary products only. So we decided to go ahead and stay with SWBC as agent of record, again, only for ancillary products. I know there was concern about a committee. The committee is still in place. The insurance committee will still review all ancillary products. And when we have our medical proposals that are brought forward, they'll still review all of the medical. So we're not picking which products. This was only picking an agent of record.
Any questions for Dr. Salinas?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
How did we decide on just 2 people? I had been in the insurance committee for more than 9 years of my time here in the district. Last year, I brought the same question up. How come different organizations were not invited? Last year, they weren't invited either. It was a decision also made by 4 people. And so this is, the auxiliary products are something that the teachers pay. It comes out of their pocket. It doesn't come out of the district funds, doesn't come out of nowhere. So we're allowing 2 people to decide the fate of everybody else. Yes, I understand they're only gonna do, they're only gonna present what they find. But we've had them, this will be our 3rd or 4th year. And it's so funny that it's the same group that we've been getting. We got in trouble for bringing the same person back and back and back to do our construction. And here we are doing the same thing when it was based on a small group also, when we did that with that person that we kept bringing back. So are we being cautious? And we used to get the information as to how the vote was decided, who was ranked 1, who was ranked 2, who was ranked 3. I didn't receive any of that. I requested it and I still didn't receive it. So I'm wondering, when we allow just 4 people to make the decision, even on something that like this, it's not only 4 people making the decision, it's a whole group of us. You know, so this is very important for them. I just went through a kidney transplant. If it weren't for my wife's insurance, just the surgery cost over $40,000. Okay, now the medication that would have been taken care of by this group, it would have cost me thousands and thousands of dollars a month. So we need to make sure that we include our teachers and our staff not just 2 people.
Thank you, Mr. Mancha. Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
members of the board, also, the big debate was, do we stay with consistency? We've had SWBC, or do we change to the next group? And both companies that came to the committee were both highly recommended. And so right now, the district, we debated it in cabinet, do we change companies and go ahead and I believe number 2 was Alamo?
Yes, sir.
Number 2 was Alamo, and 1 was SWBC. You know, either one, if we feel like we need to do a change, the district is willing to go with number 2. Both of them it was 1 and 2, and Ms. Guajardo can go on, elaborate a little bit on number 1 on some of the deciding factors, Ms. Guajardo.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Mr. Mancha, I'm glad that you're doing much better and that your experience went well. So just to confirm, there is absolutely no cost to the district for these benefits. So what we're deciding is an agent of record who actually provides our enrollment platform and maintains that platform, as well as some additional services. We're not talking about products today. So we're not talking about dental plans or payouts. We're not talking about medical plans or payouts today. We're looking at the group that can best provide these services to Harlandale District, as well as Harlandale employees. So along with our enrollment platform also comes enrollment services, and that would be the people and the folks that employees speak to year after year. So as to Mr. Mancha's concern about us using the same folks, he's absolutely right. But that offers also some comfort level to employees who come back to see the same faces year after year. Last year was a little bit difficult because we were not able to have on-site enrollment. SWBC was fantastic about being flexible, and our employees, we had 100% electronic enrollment. Why? Because they knew our district, they knew our folks. So they bring a world of opportunity to us, which we're aware of. We work very well together. They have our information already on file. And from the conversations we had with our committee members, they were also already happy with these services as well.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir, Mr. Mancha.
and that's what I'm getting at. I don't mind if we use the same company. It's just that they need to be included, is what I'm saying. When we include a bigger group, we can get a better idea of who's it working for, who's it not working for. When we allow 2 people to make the decision, it's just not fair to everybody. I don't have a problem with SWBC, but I feel that some people should have been invited, some union groups, other groups that have always been invited. We've always had them. As a matter of fact, they used to have a vote, not as a whole group, but as a 1 union rep. The president of each union rep had a vote. It's the way we worked it out, so that way nobody could say, well, only you guys made the decision. It was made by a whole group, including the union reps. And now we're just basing it on 2 people. It's my concern. My concern is later on, is something bad gonna happen? Is it's gonna come back on us? Because in the long run, we're the ones that make the vote. And that's my biggest concern.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Limon.
And we were in the committee, Elaine and Mancha and I, in the insurance committee. And several times we went out and we end up getting a better deal. And we went out again and got a better deal. So it's good. I mean, I understand that we want to be comfortable in where we at, comfortable with the doctor. But if you're out there and getting a better deal for our teachers and staff, then so be it. Go out there and get whatever you can to help our staff, our teachers, our custodians, everybody in our district a better deal. So it's good to be safe, but it's always good to go out. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Limon. Yes.
Madam, I'm sorry, it's me. And just to clarify, our insurance committee is still intact. Our insurance committee is still going to meet. Our insurance committee is still going to review products. That was not the purpose of this committee. This committee was only for agent of record, similar to what we do when we go out for an RFP for architect, or we go out for RFP for vendors for promotional products. Sometimes the committees are 2 people, sometimes it's 4 people, but they're people in the district who we know have some knowledge of the service that we're asking for. And so again, the insurance committee is still intact. We did make some changes to the committees per our conservator. So we won't have board members on the committee, but we still will have all of our employees, regardless of whether they're with the union or not. We want our employees represented, and that will still happen. They will still be there. They're going to look at all the products and make a decision. And we're going to go with that obviously later on this year, because that's when we typically do it, is September and October. So that process will be a little different because the board members won't be on the committee, but they will still, the insurance committee is still going to have a voice, and they're still going to make recommendations.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I'm sorry. I understand that part, and I understood you the first time you said it. What I am saying is that they should have been included in deciding whether SWBC has done the best for them or not. Because they're the only ones that know whether it has worked out for them with the people they have chosen to do the vision, the dental, and all that extra stuff, is what I'm saying. They should have had a voice. They're not having a voice. We're allowing two people to decide who's going to represent. Now, once they get everybody does the same thing. Once they start going out, yeah, that's when you're inviting them. Invite them when you're gonna make the decision on this.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, go ahead.
Dr. Salinas, you don't have a committee right now, do you?
I'm sorry,
You don't have a committee right now, do you?
a committee.
Of insurance committee right now? You don't have anybody?
We have the
Oh, you
committee
do?
that was still in place from last year. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
We will ask for new members because some of them may have left the district. Some of them might not want to be on the insurance committee again. But yes, and we have that posted on the website, and we do ask for someone from every campus and every department.
All right, thanks.
And just for clarification, this has nothing to do with what type of insurance or coverage. It is only who the agent will be representing that insurance, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to assure you, Mr. Mancha, I'm also a member of a union and as an employee who does purchase the benefits as well. So they're represented as well in that decision.
Okay, I am going to move to get a second on Ms. Carrillo's motion. Oh,
There was a second. He seconded the motion.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So if no one has any more comments or questions, I am going to move for the vote. Agenda item 8F. Yes. Too many notes on my little agenda here. I will take the vote. Ms. Ortiz, yay or nay on agenda item 8F?
Nay.
Thank you. Mr. Moreno, yay or nay?
Yay,
Tell me again, Mr. Moreno.
yay,
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Luna, yay or nay?
Nay.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mancha, yay or nay?
I would like to table it until we get better representation from different teachers or reps.
I don't think we can table it if we already started with the vote. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, you already started with the vote.
Yes.
So I would say nay.
Nay, okay. Ms. Limon, yay or nay?
Nay.
Thank you. Ms. Carrillo, yay or nay?
Nay.
And myself, yay. So agenda item 8F does not pass. Moving on to agenda item 9, convene in closed session as
Madam Chair.
authorized. I'm sorry, yes, sir.
so I guess we do have to figure something out. I don't know, we have to give Mr. Soto some sort of,
Well, he would have to.
Well,
he would
Madam
have to-
Chair?
Yes.
or,
When I said I wanted to second it only for discussion, then I thought you were gonna come back to me so I can make a different motion on tabling it, but then you didn't, you started the vote. And that was gonna be my recommendation. It was to table it so we can allow more people to be involved in the, because like I said, I don't care who gets it. It doesn't bother me. I just wanted to make sure that the teachers are being represented, at least 10 or 15 of them, where they can take it back to their campuses and say, look, we make this decision, like we used to do it in the past. And it always used to work because teachers were satisfied because, hey, I didn't go, that's on me, that's my fault.
Yeah.
But I didn't get invited, it's not the same as, it was my fault that I didn't go.
I didn't
It
make
was like
time for it and I didn't go.
yes.
Since we already took the vote and it did not pass,
So can I bring it back, Tony?
couldn't
since-
Mr. Soto just bring it up another agenda?
Yeah, at this point, it's at the administration level. They'll bring back another recommendation. I think they've heard your requests, and then the superintendent can decide on how to proceed.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Yep,
You'll have to go back to the drawing board, Mr. Soto.
correct.
Okay, agenda item 9, convene in closed session as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Sections 551.071 through 551.084. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Ortiz.
I move that the board convene in closed session as authorized by Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Sections 551.071 through 551.084 on items number 9A through 9D.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz. Is there a second on Ms. Ortiz's motion?
Madam
Yes,
Chair,
Mr. Luna.
second.
Thank you, Mr. Luna. I will take the vote. Ms. Ortiz, yay or nay to
Yay.
convene in closed session? Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Luna?
Yay.
Thank you. Ms. Carrillo?
Yay.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Limon?
Yay.
Mr. Moreno?
Yay.
Mr. Mancha?
Yay.
Thank you, sir. And myself, yay. It is 9 o'clock exactly, and we're convening in closed session. Oh, I have a terrible headache from here to here. I think it's allergy. Yes, we're gonna do this. Okay, we are back in open session. It is 9:59. Agenda item 9A. No action taken at this time. Agenda item 9B. I move that we not consent to the resignation submitted by Elizabeth Martinez and find that good cause does not exist for resigning and failing to perform under the contract, and that we request sanctions with the State Board of Educator certification. Do I have a second on my motion? Thank you, Mr. Mancha. I will take the vote. Ms. Limon, yay or nay on agenda item 9B?
Yay.
Thank you. Mr. Luna, yay or nay?
Abstain.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mancha, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Moreno, yay or nay?
Yay, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Ortiz, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Carrillo, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. And myself, yay. Agenda item 9B passes. Agenda item 9C, no action taken at this time. Agenda item 9D, no action taken at this time. Agenda item 10,
Madam Chair,
yes,
I move to adjourn the meeting.
thank you.
I
And that should have been
second.
11, my apologies, I said 10. Thank you, Mr. Moreno and Ms. Carrillo. I will take the vote. I said Carrillo, right? Yes. Okay. Ms. Carrillo, yay or nay to adjourn tonight's meeting? Thank
Yay.
you. Mr. Moreno, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. Ms. Ortiz, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Limon, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. Mr. Mancha, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Luna, yay or nay?
Yay.
Thank you. And myself, yay. It is now 10:01 and tonight's meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Yes. Oh, okay, thank you.
Good seeing you again.
Yes.
We'll see each other